Welcome to Totally Rewarding Chats. We have a recruiting version today on purpose, Paul. We invited a recruiter on purpose.
To be clear, I think this might be the second or third time, right?
third.
That we've brought somebody in from the other dark side of
The
the
dark
HR
side. The
channel.
Dark
right?
side. I don't know if I shared. My father was a recruiter for 40 years. And then my first entrepreneurial business I opened with another guy in Houston, a management recruiters incorporated office, a franchise. Back when things were different. We'll just say
Just a
that.
bit.
Yeah, I did 2 decks of cards a call a day. So he found job orders, I found candidates. So 104 phone calls a day. And that's back when you could actually remember what the phone being slammed on you sounded like on the other end. So that was, and I will say, I would like to never go back to that career, Josh.
Yeah.
But but the knowledge I gained from that and how candidates think and whatever, and also just the sheer volume of work in a role like that, um, has been great to have. And I'm glad I have the experience, and may I not have another one like it. And welcome, Josh. That I don't want to do your job. Yeah.
You're really making this career seem like the best choice I ever made, Sean. But hey, things are very different now. But when I first started, I did have like a corded phone on my desk. Like, then we got the mics, and you had like the button to like hang the phone up and down, and so not quite as far back as you, Sean, but we were smiling and dialing, 70 calls a day and just sitting.
70, that's not 2 decks of cards. All I know is I am so thankful I started after rotary phones were done, because that would have been, can you imagine with a rotary phone? Yeah.
I
You have
think Josh made
fingers.
fewer calls, Sean, because his calls may have been more successful than yours, perhaps, right?
I wouldn't even use the word may. I would say likely so. I would
It
say
sounds like
likely.
Sean was padding his calls. Let's be honest.
He's just
140 calls. The
No,
quality
104.
is
2 decks.
104.
Maybe that's how you win at cards, Josh. 2 decks of cards is you have extra cards. But yeah, 2 decks of cards. 2 decks of cards. Try to get to 104 calls a day. But you could call quick. And you remember back then, though, you got a lot of answering machine. We never left messages on the answering machine because they were different. Like there was stuff. So you'd get a lot of, I don't know. I don't remember the actual number of, to your call, point productive calls
Yeah.
that might end up on in actual conversations. But I don't know if it's better or worse than today, but it was not many, right? I mean, people would not, they didn't have caller ID, which is why you'd get the phone slammed on you because they'd pick up thinking it was somebody they wanted to talk to.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Now, were you primarily calling the individual, or were you calling like through the company and like getting the gatekeeper and being like, "Can I speak with James in HR?"
I would split my day into 2 actually back then. So I would take and try to get new names or whatever. So we were in the petrochemical business. So the guy that I started the business with was a retired general manager of a petrochem plant in Houston. And so he had job orders. And so we were trying to fill job orders, trying to find candidates. And so, yeah, you were always looking for I'd like a petrochemical engineer thing and trying to finagle through the department to get new names. And then you obviously had a database where you'd call people. And of course, back then the database might also include people's home, which was awesome. So you'd call, later in the day around when they get home. So they get home and then I get to call them, and they were super excited for that.
Wow.
Rarely.
When I first got into this world of agency recruitment, I wasn't specialized in total rewards or HR. I was the catch-all. I was working on engineering, accounting, and finance, marketing, you name it. And I can remember the days of, we would get these manufacturing clients and we'd be calling into a manufacturing facility for an engineer or the plant manager or whatever it might be. And we were calling like into the company. So, and a lot of times you're trying to talk to multiple people and you'd get the same gatekeeper. It might be the office manager or whoever answers the phone. And at some point they're like, why do you keep calling? Like, what is going on? And
For a different person. You keep calling for a different person. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta change your voice.
Yeah.
Well, so Josh, take a step back, right? Like say hello. Let's tell us what you actually like. Give us the pitch
Yeah,
before we
yeah.
jump in too many to stories, because we'll
I
go
know.
there. But
We are,
let's
yeah, we're already going down rabbit holes. So I'm Josh Mensinger. I now lead an HR and total rewards recruitment practice. So I work for a global recruitment agency called GQR, based out of the firm is based out of New York City. I personally am based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And like I said, lead up our HR and total rewards recruitment practice. So very niche, specialized. That is my area. I've been doing agency recruitment for about a decade now. Like I said, didn't start in HR and total rewards, but about 2 years into my career, that's when I started gravitating towards this niche, and here I am 10 years later. I also founded and started my own HR and total rewards event series called HR After Five, which I've been growing and popping up in different cities throughout the country: Charlotte, New York. I've got Raleigh later this month, and eyes on other cities to keep expanding that. So
Cheshire, Massachusetts on that list?
we'll see, Sean.
Oh, really? That is
And it can be in
that is by
Sean's
far my
backyard.
no, don't change the subject now, Paul. That's his best answer I've ever got for anything to happen in Cheshire. So we're just gonna take the maybe, and
Yeah,
that is a
yeah.
huge W.
Yeah, we're in exploratory phase, so nothing's off the card here.
We're just short
Uh,
one location. I don't know where
yeah,
we would actually host it here. The
that
library,
hot
maybe.
market I've been missing. I couldn't believe it didn't hit my radar.
Before we dive into more, we like to make sure you're a human and go through the speed round of questions. So,
Absolutely.
are you a coffee or tea person?
Coffee.
Okay, and then the follow-up question now is, are you a coffee snob?
No, no, no. I'm not even a daily, like I'm like a every other day kind of coffee guy, but yeah,
How
but
does
no,
that work? Actually, I don't even know. So yeah, help me out
Was
because I'm definitely not.
was
I
today a
might be
coffee
needing more
day?
volume than that. Um,
So I usually have some level of caffeine each day, but here lately I've been a Coke Zero guy.
oh,
And
first thing
that's
in the
we're in a
morning.
whole different category now, but yeah.
I'm actually
Um,
surprised we haven't got more of those. Back when I was at Mercer, there were a couple leaders in the company that were large diet of what flavor of choice drinks early and drink a lot of them through the day. That was their caffeine vehicle.
yeah.
Was
Well, it's
that?
I don't drink those like most days I wake up just nothing and I don't have caffeine until around lunchtime. And I don't eat
Oh,
until lunchtime. So I'm just like
it's a whole nother. I mean, that's like a whole nother. Yeah,
Yeah. How?
I'm just
yeah.
fasted and just drinking water and just jumping into it. And then usually around 11 is when, so I'll do like an early lunch. And so,
Yeah. That's a
Think
whole
pretty.
nother as a triathlete, there's 0 chance I can get him to do anything without any food. Like, that would not,
Yeah.
like, go well for the rest of the day for me. I wake up hangry, so, like, I don't like, I eat within minutes of getting up.
yeah, yeah. If I push to like 12:30, I start getting a little edgy. So
Okay. Well, I'm
yeah.
glad we did this earlier in the morning.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, if we did like an 11 o'clock, it might be
It might have been
Yeah,
testy.
yeah, we kept you from it. So,
yeah.
the vacation place you'd like to go that you haven't been?
I really want to travel to somewhere in Asia. I've done a ton of European countries, but I haven't done like I'd love my fiance and I are actually I'm getting married in October. And my fiance and I are considering Japan for a honeymoon, but I think we're gonna save that for like an anniversary. But Japan's high on the list, like a South Korea, something like that is high on my travel vacation list.
Oh,
There
so
you go.
this will air a couple months before you get married. So we might have to have a follow-up later. We'll have to see. Uh,
Totally rewarding chats, does
Per-
like marriage check-ins.
yeah,
well,
yeah,
particularly because I don't know if it's next on your list, Sean, but like there's the staple question, which
yes,
will change post marriage.
yeah.
I'm not positive, but it often changes post marriage. We'll
So
see.
actually, we'll do. So this will be interesting. We'll get both sides to see how well you know your fiance. So the important question is, um, if you have a weekend away, and normally we say without your significant other, so you can choose. They're doing something else, so this is your choice. would you go to a posh resort or would you go camp and rough it in the woods? And I'm very curious, do you know your fiance's answer?
She's absolutely choosing the posh resort,
Yeah.
like 10 out of 10 times. And then I'm gonna go more on the woods. Like I grew up
Uh,
in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, so like the mountains are kind of home for me. So I'm gonna go with the mountain. I'm actually my a lot of people do their bachelor trip in Vegas or Nashville or Phoenix, Scottsdale. I'm actually getting a giant like mountain mansion outside of Asheville.
Oh,
So
sweet. I won't lie. We did our bachelor party up in the White Mountains. So just in the middle of the woods. So which Paul's like, of course you did. But so now I'm very curious. A year later, I want to see what happens because the odds on you taking her to camping for the weekend is it sounds low.
Well,
Um,
it sounds like he's going to be the next reason why we had to change the question from you
yes.
get a weekend away, what do you do? And the answer was always, well, my spouse says we're
Yeah.
going to go to the resort. It may still be where Josh could say, I miss the woods or I miss the mountains, and as a
yeah,
result,
I mean, don't get me wrong. A nice inclusive posh resort, like I can get down with it. Like, but
That's where you lost me. I can't. I'm so
I can do
uncomfortable
both.
there.
Like I can do the like
Okay.
posh, bougie side, but I can also do like the roughing it. Like,
I like that. You see, you're multi-talented. You got the, multi-resorted, whatever. What is that?
multi-social,
Yeah,
multi-social. He could
multi-social.
sort of fit it in multiple places.
So
yeah,
speaking of that social, what's your hobby of choice?
I'm a big hobby guy, but right now, it is pickleball. I think
Oh,
I even like over
I
my
could see the
story.
magazine.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
And I
that
believe that's a frequent venue for your HR After 5, or at least I've seen a few things where you've done it at the Thirsty Pickle is one in particular I remember seeing.
yeah, the
Uh,
thirsty pickle, the tipsy pickle. Yeah,
Tipsy
I'm
Pickle,
tipsy.
yeah.
even better.
Well, that's after you're thirsty. You're tipsy, Paul. They've
That's
matured
right.
as the business. Yeah.
I do like that play on name though. Yeah, so Charlotte is where Tipsy Pickle is, and that's where we've had two of our HR After 5 events. And I also had the opportunity to invest in Tipsy Pickle, so I've got
Oh,
a added interest in that. But it's been super cool to get into that pickleball crazed
mm,
space.
Yeah.
And
mm.
so that's
All
my
right.
hobby now.
A good
And
one.
then I've started to dabble in golf, but that's more of a
You can always save that for later. You can
That is
save
a
that for
that
home.
is a time and investment suck in a whole different
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That
That is
one's a
true.
lot more challenging.
Yeah. Are you a crunchy or creamy peanut butter guy?
Mm. Dang, that's one where sometimes I'll grab the crunchy and maybe, but
Whoa,
usually creamy.
whoa.
Usually creamy.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
both are in the pantry?
Not at any given
Okay.
time, but some days, like, I'm buying I need to get peanut butter, I'm like, "You know what? The crunchy
All
sounds
right.
good this time." But most of the time, it is creamy.
Okay. Wow. Usually it's pretty divisive subject. People
Yeah.
are,
People
Not like
have
a
people have
psychology
feelings about their
assessment after
peanut
this.
butter.
yeah. Yeah. Um, so you are in the recruitment space, in our space in particular. So you
Yep.
have a super unique perspective to what's going on. So I'll just start with, how do you see kind of the employment market in the total reward space right now? With everything that's going on, obviously, AI changes, market, socioeconomic, there's just all the stuff going on. So how would
Yeah.
you start to sum up what the market's like for people in our space?
So, great question, Sean, and I get this question quite a bit from folks in my network and such. The market is there's certainly opportunities out there. Like, if you go on LinkedIn right now, if you're a total rewards professional and you're like, just looking for a new job or, I want to change, like, you can find things out there. The challenge is that it is highly competitive right now. It's a little bit saturated in a sense of, people searching, and there has been a little bit of a shift in what companies are seeking in their total
Mhm.
rewards leaders. So that has added a layer of complexity where if you were a total rewards leader back in like right out past COVID, 2021, 2022, holy moly, it was, the war on talent era, but total rewards in particular, people were getting just inundated with opportunities left and right. I mean, you could get multiple offers in a matter of a couple months. And I was dealing with that with clients that were trying to hire at a lightning
Mm,
pace and dealing with counter offers and all of this. But now it is the power dynamic has shifted. Most of the power is in the employer, and the candidates in the total reward space, the professionals, are having a little bit more of a challenging time with navigating it because of that. And it takes a bit more to stand out. And I think that's where we could probably talk about more is just kind
Mm.
of the evolution of the total rewards profession and what it was and what it is and what it will be.
Have you seen when you talk about there's fewer roles or it's more competitive, how's
Yeah.
the remote in-person thing shifted as well? Because I think during that period of time, to your point, the balance
Oh,
of power
yeah.
shifted, and so they were trying to find the best person, and there wasn't even an office. So, how have you seen that shift as well the past couple of years?
Yeah, that really started to shift, I'd say, in like mid 2023. And that changed things a lot. Where, to your point, Sean, years back, it was let's open this search up, but we're going to find the best person possible anywhere in the country. And people that were living in, Texas were scooping up jobs that were based in New York and all this. And unfortunately, another byproduct of that is some people got um, burned in that process
mm,
where they had been longstanding employees, leading total rewards at a particular organization,
Mm.
got tempted by, hey, take here's, dangling this fruit of great opportunity. We're going to pay you. I mean, some of the offers that I saw during that time to tempt people to come and join their organization were ridiculous. It was a situation where like, how could I say no? Like, you're going to pay me this much more and I can just stay home. So a lot of people did that. They jumped. And then fast forward, these organizations changed their stance, return to office. Oh, we need people, within a 40-mile radius of our headquarter. You got to come in 2 times a week. All the different types,
yeah.
but that has certainly changed dramatically. And now for the most part, it's the hybrid game. I don't see a ton of fully remote top total rewards roles anymore. Are they out there? Yes. But the ones that are out there, one, those are the toughest ones to stand out because
Yeah.
they are getting hundreds, if not, 500 plus applicants. Now, I could go down a rabbit hole of are they the qualified person,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's really hard to stand out for those fully remote roles, but for the most part, most organizations have shifted that, and it's continuing to go down that path. It's very apparent, and a lot of people are facing that fact and having to change their expectations. Realize that, oh, I've been remote for the past 6 years, but either I stay stagnant in this role that I'm in and be
Yeah.
unhappy even though I'm remote and I have a lot of flexibility. But in order to get into a better environment, advance in my career,
Yeah.
say you're a director, senior director, fringe, like trying to get into that VP of total rewards role. Well, odds are you're going to need to lower your expectations of when it comes to like being fully remote if you want that to happen.
I really, I mean, I'm wrong a lot, but I was really wrong on this. I, the analogy I use a lot is if you're trying to recruit the best of, team out there, and
Yeah.
it's sports analogy. And I told you could draft for, pick your sport of choice, the NBA, but you can only pick players that have last names that start with A through D. And I get to pick from all the players. Um, why wouldn't I do that? And I am baffled to how this gone. Hybrid to me is just in person with some days at home, like because you
Yeah.
still have to live within that bubble. You
Oh
can't,
yeah.
so for me, it's kind of like you still have split the field. And I am baffled for these ones that really struggle to find really good talent in certain locations that they will limit that. Because you're talking about picking up and moving yourself if you do that. And then, to then compete to move to another role if you have to move somewhere else because the number of people who stay for a lifetime at a role um,
Yeah.
is not long, not as many, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm definitely been wrong in my hypothesis of how this would shake out and at the
Yeah.
speed at which it has gone. And how it really took a turn. It wasn't even like this long-standing thing. And I'm
No, it
curious
was
if you think it's going
so
to come
dramatic.
back. Well, I think if you think it's going to come back too, and I say that a
Mm.
little bit from like, we went one way, obviously, with COVID, which was crazy. We're
Yeah.
swinging all the way back. Are you going to see people go and you think it's going to swing back to be like, well, because you're in that space where you're like, hey, company, here's the pool of talent that you can get in, Cheshire, Massachusetts. Um, and
Shout out.
well, hey, I'm sure everyone's heard of us. We have a stoplight now. We're big time.
Right.
Um,
So
so
if you're happy with Sean,
yeah,
here's your pool of talent.
Yeah.
yeah. And so yeah,
There we go.
which is a great case, Paul, because you definitely want to look elsewhere if that's your pool of talent. And so how are you navigating that with companies? Because you're like, hey, here's your choice, and they're like, oh, well, I really wish they had this and this. It's like, well, you have a choice, but like that choice is remote. How are you navigating that, and how are companies? I wouldn't say justifying. How are they grappling with? I can have, if you're in a major metro, sure, but like when you're fringe, major metro or a little more
Yeah.
rural, how
Yeah.
how are companies grappling with that? Or are they just deciding they'll take a little less?
It varies big time. A lot of times it's kind of what'll happen in some of these markets where the talent pool might not be as large is they'll initially, hey, we're gonna go to market for this role. We're gonna open it up. We're going to lead the search ourselves. We're going to rely on getting applications. Well, then, you're in one of these fringe, tier 3 cities or whatever. And the talent is just not there for the niche skill of total
Mm,
rewards at a certain level. So they'll bang their head against the wall for a while, trying to fill it that way. Then usually that's where someone like myself comes into play to support them on the search once they haven't got the applicants that they need. So then I will work with them to help, we'll of course give it our best shot on, hey, here's the parameters that you're working with. Let's talk through all of it. But a lot of times it is educating them on the reality of what's going on. And you're asking for X, Y, and Z. And a lot of the other thing that's happening right now, because it's such a employer driven market, the expectations are so
mm,
high,
mm,
so high. The wish lists or the non-negotiables, people have this kind of pie in the sky of, we got these 10 boxes we want checked. And
Yeah.
damn it, we're gonna wait until we check all 10 boxes. Where
Yeah.
rewind the clock a little bit, if you had somebody that checked 8 out of 10 boxes back in 2021, you were moving on them. You were
Yeah.
moving quick. And and that's because these companies see the amount of applicants they're getting, and they have this thought that, well, we'll just keep going. We'll get the next person. And so it leads to some challenging conversations on, here's what you actually can get for
Yeah.
what one you're paying, or your non-negotiables. And sometimes it's challenging. And some organizations are, they've got their feet planted and they're not moving.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, have you
Well, and
seen?
I'm not even sure, like, we like to pick on the small cities, right, and say they have the challenge. I actually don't know if that's the problem right now, right?
Mm,
So I'm kind of playing an interim role for a company that's willing to hire, and they have an open role, VP of Total Rewards, in 3 cities: San Francisco, Atlanta, Toronto. And when I hear that, I think, well, that shouldn't be that hard. Here's
Especially,
the
yeah.
problem. Like, they're good cities. There's people there. But you're really still it may not be A through D in the alphabet, Sean, but one, it's still A through K, and there's a liquidity problem. Like, there are great leaders in those places. They're either really expensive or
yeah.
they don't wanna move right now. So you've
Yeah.
still shrunk your
Yeah.
population notably, and it's really hard. And if you add 2 more cities to the list, your odds of finding a great hire are exponential, right? So I
Oh
just
yeah.
think the city hiring has, even in big cities, and I'm in Chicago. It's a big city. There's tons of reward people here, but that doesn't mean the right person is ready to move then.
Yep.
And it's both available talent and liquid talent, like people who actually want to make a switch. And I think that economic uncertainty right now, people are like, do I want to do this? Like, is this
Yeah.
the time for me to make a change or not?
You took
I
the
think
word
the
out of
online piece, I think, probably doesn't help either, Josh, because people are seeing like, here's the type of people that are out there, and they're posting and they're doing stuff, and like I'd like one of those. To your point of like, I'd like one of those too because I know they're out there.
Mhm.
And so then they basically are like, Josh, go find me, someone like this, and you're like, dude, look where you live, like, or look where it is. Or, Paul, the cities are always interesting too, because, I mean, I don't know about Charlotte, but the line someone told me in Atlanta, I think it was Briscoe, actually, Paul, who was like, when you're in Atlanta, you're always an hour and a half away from Atlanta. Um, and so like, same thing,
Yeah.
right? You forget like people, do people want to even go like an hour each way for a job, like, or not?
Yeah.
So it is actually you're still in the same city, but you're not like that's so far away. Like I can
Yeah.
drive, yeah, a long
And then
ways in an
depending
hour.
on what the if is it a 4-day on-site, is it 3-day on-site, if you're on the north side of Atlanta, but the best talent,
It's
yeah, it is
It's
it's
tough.
tough.
But with M&A activity, with AI layoffs, or at least AI branded layoffs, like I just think there's a freezing that happens where people are like, is it worth the risk, even within my own city, let alone a move, right? And
Oh, yeah.
asking people to relocate, I find further segments your market because now you got anybody with kids probably doesn't want to do it. Like there's limiters we put in that I think, I'll age myself a little bit, but early 2000s was probably a normal thing that now
Yeah.
different generation of VP talent, different economic conditions. We're
Well,
like,
what skills on
why?
top of that? So on top of that, Josh, talk about what skill shift you've seen. So you've got this move to being more in office at some point in time, less
Yeah.
remote work. Plus, over the past 3 or 4 years, what have you seen in the skill shift of what employers are looking for out of their total rewards leaders?
Yeah. Well, I think you both know this, that over the past, I've seen it happen over probably the last 8 years, is total rewards is that profession that things just keep getting bolted onto it. I was at a total rewards retreat down in Georgia a few months ago, and the joke came about. It's funny, but I'm not gonna like brand it as this, but it was a funny joke that a total rewards professional there made, that total rewards is becoming like the trash can of HR, where it's just like, put it under total rewards. And it used to be, compensation and benefits. And now it's HR operations,
Mm.
HRIS,
Yeah.
analytics. I've seen some really wild ones. I talked to somebody a few weeks ago that was total rewards and talent management. So like just stuff keeps getting, but for the most part, what I have seen is the technology side, the data and analytics, and then um really having more of that business and financial acumen. That a way I've described it is it used to be like, can you develop this report, whether it be for comp or benefits or total rewards. And what's separating the good from the great that are going up the route of total rewards is the ones that can go from just, you know, getting the report to actually that like storytelling and tying it into like what the business is doing, what are their goals, what's the true ROI behind what is happening in their rewards function versus like, here, take this. It's like, no, like, so that like gravitas, that executive presence, that like business acumen is what I've seen the most.
Have you seen because of that, traditionally, and I won't make fun of Paul, and not at this point.
But you
But in
will.
general, Paul has been pretty open about early in his career, his spreadsheet skills were what helped him. And so that's changed over this past bit of
Yeah.
time, to your point of communication. Are you seeing them pulling in people into the total rewards leadership from not necessarily what would have been the, hierarchical path before of like you were in comp and ben and they chose from the comp or ben people? Or are they still coming from the total reward space they're just being pickier or educated?
Yeah, I know. So for the most part, it's still foundationally someone that's come up through
Mm,
a rewards path, whether it be comp or Ben. And of course, we could go down a whole rabbit hole of the comp versus Ben and what mix is the
yeah.
preferred and all of that. But I have seen. I'm actually working with a client in New York right now on their we're determining if it's director or senior director, but of total rewards. But their VP of total rewards actually came up through employee experience, change
Mhm.
management, talent management, and this was kind of a stretch assignment, if you will, to round out their HR experience. So that one's a little bit more of an outlier,
Yeah.
but I've seen that a handful of times, like more of like the business partner
Yeah.
route getting then tapped into.
Mm,
They were been in HR business partner where they were partnering very closely in rewards and supporting a particular business unit on maybe some of their reward stuff and then getting that specialized role. But that's not a big trend, I would say, that's just taking over the rewards space. Yeah.
and the other one I had is, how are you seeing the communication skills? Because I think, I envision, you know, 15, 20 years ago, the comp person, well, Paul sitting in a corner jamming on, depending on his age, Lotus notes, and using his skills.
Not
And
that
now I
old.
think it's become with pay
Yeah.
transparency, equity, and all the pay. Are you
Yeah.
seeing those skills becoming more critical?
Absolutely. Yeah. Communication, executive presence, being able to, go into a boardroom, be even able to work with the C-suite effectively, being able to influence, a lot of influencing. Total
Okay.
rewards is so at the nucleus of so many different things, and you talk about like high M&A activity, a lot of organizations going through restructures and rifts and all of this, and total rewards has to be at the center of that in some capacity, and it leads to a lot of times it's a lot of influence without authority, unfortunately,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I can definitely attest to how that feels being in my seats, which is a lot of influence without authority. But total rewards gets in that bucket a lot. Um, I would say to shout out the total rewards function, the organizations that are doing the best have total rewards in their total rewards leader more at the forefront of those big decisions versus reactionary to, oh, we're doing this now, figure this out, from a reward standpoint versus, oh, we want to do this. How do rewards tie in to the end goal that we're trying to achieve? That doesn't always happen, right? um, but yeah, to your original question, that is absolutely rising to the top as far as the expectations for a total rewards leader to not just be the numbers wizard anymore, but how do you need those, like, you have to be the numbers wizard, but you also have to end up getting that, those, communication people side of it as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
So with all that in mind, if someone's listening and going, I'm thinking of moving or doing something or whatever, like what are the things, your advice to people pondering change, from anything from your online presence to LinkedIn to skills to, dump it on us, Josh. Drop the knowledge.
well, it takes a multifaceted approach, absolutely. The days of, "Oh, I'm looking for something new, and one, I'm gonna expect that it's gonna land in my lap." 2, I'm gonna just go out here. I've got the best resume. I've just brushed it up. I'm gonna send it out to 5 roles that I love, and they're gonna call me tomorrow, and here we go. Like, it's just not how things are anymore.
I'm not gonna
Like,
lie, Josh. We've never had sound effects on here, but I might have Devin go back and grab that as a button. I want to save that for later with Paul.
It's
But
a
yeah,
I think
technical
it's
keep
term.
called a
going.
raspberry,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
but we haven't had anyone do that. So like we haven't had the need. Like I
I
definitely want to grab that.
I try to keep it, I try to keep things fun over here, Sean.
Well, you know why I'm on here, Paul. This is with Paul. It's a highly professional show, so we might have
Yeah.
to edit something like that out to keep our mode in the our mojo in the space.
No, people like to see the what's really behind the curtain here.
Yeah.
Um, so it takes a multifaceted approach. You can't expect to just apply and something to magically happen. No, don't get me wrong. Like, do you still have to do that? Do you still need to get a resume together? Yes. Do you still need to have part of your time spent applying to jobs? Yes. But if you think that that is going to be the ticket to success, you're going to be disappointed. It takes re-engaging with people in your network. That relationship equity is more valuable than ever. I
Is
will
that a
tell
thing
you.
though? Like why you said that? Like what percentage of jobs do you think come from applying versus in a market like this when you need skills and you kind of want to know that they'll fit? Like what percentage of jobs are happening via networking versus a recruiter versus application?
Yeah, I would love to have that stat. Like,
I don't think anyone has it, so I'm asking for your gut.
this is
The
like
good
off.
news is we can't back check your information, Josh.
Yeah, they don't fact check me on this. I would go out on a limb and say at this point, just applying to a job and getting it is like a 30%. Like,
Huh.
I think it's pretty darn low. Um, I think it's taking the relationship side, whether it's people that you've worked with in the past, re-engaging with them, people that you worked for in the past,
Mm,
re-engaging with them, people that are just ancillary parts of your network, like vendors you've worked with.
mm,
Like, it's like I can't tell you the amount of stories. Like, if you just put a little bit of your time into just the relationships that you've had the opportunity to be a part of, or just keeping constant communication with someone. Like, again, to the vendor side, it's like, oh, my benefits person or my comp person, and like you don't realize how many people those people know, and their
yeah,
ear is to key decisions that are being made in organizations where they may be able to tell you about something you don't know or tee you
mm,
up. So that's super important. Getting out of your comfort zone to get out, and the in-person stuff is really starting to rise again. We
yeah,
all went super reclusive there for a few years. Everything was webinars and online this and online that. Well, the in-person stuff is coming back, and a lot of great things are happening in those environments. That in-person connection, the more this AI and tech start to take over, it's going to happen, but that
mm,
people connection piece is going to become
yeah,
incredibly valuable in my opinion. So it takes that, spend some time doing the application, spend some time doing the networking, spend some time reconnecting with old, colleagues.
yeah.
All of that will give you a better opportunity of finding your next role.
Yeah, I really do think the personal piece, I'll lean into that. I think the networking is going to become huge. Nobody's LinkedIn profile says I suck at a lot of stuff and I'm probably not going to be good at my next job.
Yeah.
No one interviews that way. No one's resume says that, right? You can't back check a lot of the stuff. So, on a resume, when you call somebody or you call and be like, Paul, did Sean work here at this point in time? And
Yeah.
yes, how was he? Yes, he worked here during this point of time. Did he have any skills? Yes, he worked here. So, I think the recruitment space is going to come back because of the volume, having come from recruitment and Monster, like the volume, like the ability
Volumes.
to have a recruiter say, "Here, I will give you 3 really qualified
I
candidates that are
know
willing to
them.
get your
Yeah. I
pay.
can.
I know them. They'll work there. They'll move there." Like the amount of time that's saving, and then also I think that relationship piece. Like I know someone.
Yeah.
I do think also though, I think we're going to bounce back a little bit because of the in person. I think we're going to get to a point where we're back to those 8 boxes or like I'm willing to take somebody who's got aptitude and maybe he's going to think a little differently because we're moving to a point, I think Paul and I've talked about this where the science is simpler, but the art of applying it to your unique company
Yeah.
I'll steal your word of the day, gravitas. It requires some gravitas to be able to analyze it, apply the art, and then communicate it. And so I think there'll be an opportunity for people that are like 1 degree of separation from total
Yeah.
that they might have to get what they need in that person. that's coming out.
Absolutely.
So I think your job
The
just
other
get harder
the
personally.
other thing that you briefly mentioned that I wanna hit on is LinkedIn. I think people underestimate the power of LinkedIn in the world of finding opportunities, getting tapped on, connecting with people, like, all 3 of us are very active on LinkedIn, so I think we'll all stand on that rock, but a lot of people are apprehensive about like, just LinkedIn, like, I don't know, like, seriously, like, a lot of organizations too, when they're hiring, they're gonna check LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it's essentially your resume 2.0, and sometimes even more important, like, truly what's on there, what your personal brand is. I'm a big, like, advocate on, like, having a personal brand, and in total rewards, I've seen that as well stand out where people are, just active on there, engaging with their networks,
Yeah.
keeping it up to date. At minimum, just keeping it up to date. Like, you don't need to be this total rewards LinkedIn influencer to be successful, but keeping it up to date. All the time I'm seeing people that are really strong total rewards leaders, and then like their LinkedIn has absolutely like nothing on it. And you're potentially missing out on opportunities for someone to tap you on the shoulder for something
Yeah.
that would potentially surprise you, because they see your accolades, they see what you're doing, they
Yeah.
see you're a real person. Like, because a lot of people don't have photos on. I just leveraging LinkedIn is important.
So let me spin that around a little bit really quick, and put you a little bit in the hot spot from the standpoint of we're just going to assume because Paul and I invited you, you don't suck at your job. Um, um, I get a lot of people who will send a note and be like, "Hey, are you interested in another role?" Stop. Like that's the thing. Um, when someone's evaluating a recruiter or you get notes, like put yourself in our shoes, what are the 2 or 3 key questions? Because obviously working with a recruiter, you know, is good because you unearth opportunities, they understand you, they have the ability to potentially sell you if you only have, 8 of the boxes, or if you're like me, you have 1 or 2 boxes of the 10,
Yeah.
you'd be able to promote those out. But how do you suggest people, what questions do you have them ask to make sure that, hey, I'm going to spend time with this person that's going to
Yeah.
branding me in the market, to your point?
Absolutely. Well, the unfortunate part about my world of agencies is there are a lot of bad apples out there. There are a lot of it can get a bad rap, and I've spent the better part of a decade trying to prove that there are good guys out there, and that aren't just trying to get something over on you or push you into something that you're not super interested in, or have some alternative motive, because unfortunately there's those people exist.
Yeah.
I think the first thing you need to do is check their, credentials, if you will, and see, okay, who are they? What firm are they with? Have I ever heard of it? Does it have like a legitimate website and all of this? And if they are reaching out to me for a great VP of total rewards role, do they even have any sort of reputation in
Yeah.
this space? Are they actually specialized? Do they know what they're doing? So that would be a first thing. Like, look at their profile, see where they're coming from. And then questions that you can ask is the search exclusive? Is it retained? I think that a lot of times
Yeah.
can help, understand if you're going to be wasting your time or not.
Mm.
If it's a search firm that, is one of 6 working on it, and it's just going to be this messy, like, process. Um, just asking some intuitive questions specific to what you would be looking for in that role, and just ask a couple of those questions to see if they even have the information, like
Yeah.
the baseline information, see if they're responsive. If you ask one question and then you don't ever hear from them again, it's like, okay, well, is this that serious of a search? Like, are you that
Mm.
serious of a agency recruiter? Like, um, some of those things I think can help sift out if it's worth your time or not.
Yeah, the only one I'll add is I usually tell people to ask them if they're serious, especially if they're going to market you, depending on your role, obviously, if, depending where you are in your career, is ask to talk about to two or three people they placed,
Mm,
because I think
true.
you can get a good point of like, yeah, he was really hard to work with, or you know. Once I worked with a company, he was ghosted until it was time to confirm I was there, like, whatever it was, or they walked me through the process and they were super helpful because,
Yeah.
for a lot of candidates, even if you like jokingly, I'm a job hopper, right? 2 to 4, 6 years. I think my longest stint is, I guess I did have an 8 year run somewhere, but five,
Okay.
6 years. But even for someone like me, I don't change. You add the number of times I've changed roles and gone through the process is not a lot. And so, how many people do you place, and how many processes do you get to see? Like, did they help you with that process, and did they help you navigate that while you're doing your day job? So, I think there's some cool things you can get because, as I mentioned, no one's ever going to call you and be like, I'm a shitty recruiter, but I have a job that might fit for you. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
Is there any other like final thought? Did I miss anything trying to cover this?
Um, no, I think we covered a lot of great things, Sean and Paul, and it is a challenging space right now. It takes a lot of patience and such, but I would encourage people to keep at it. There are some folks out there that have had a hard time in this market,
Yeah.
and they've been trying and trying and trying, and then they can't seem to get momentum. And a lot of times it's not necessarily a them problem. There is some just byproducts of
Yeah.
the current climate, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have been getting discouraged. Oh, I'm not good enough, or something's wrong. And there are a lot of people in the same boat as them. I talk to people every single week that, people I've known for years that are talented total rewards professionals that just can't seem to get some momentum, and they're not in a camp by themselves. So I guess my point there is to continue, keep pushing forward,
How
because
long, Josh? How long? Because I in my
mm,
mind, you kind of have this weird altruistic like you apply to, someone starts looking for a job and they post a, to your point 10
yeah,
jobs, you know,
I
11 people call me back because I'm so great. And then I have, all these interviews, and within a week and a half, I'm magically hired. Like, I think that's how people kind of go through what is kind of the life cycle. And as people look for a job, to your point, like if you start looking and you're 3 months in, is that like, I should be sad, or like, no, it
mm.
takes 9 months to a year to find the right thing, or what is it?
At the senior level, so I did a poll a few weeks back asking that exact question, like how long has your search gone to find a new, you know, total rewards leadership position? And the majority selected 9 plus. I think I had like 1 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 plus. And I thought it was going to be the 6 to 9. It was the 9 plus that had the majority, which really kinda was
Yeah,
eye-opening.
no, I think that's great. Like, kind of end there from the standpoint of that's just really good to take all this information you have, but it's a complicated and long process. Because to your point, I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have assumed. Like,
Yeah,
I'll say this in a weird way. I haven't looked for a job since 1995, and so like I don't know, and I know I for one, like if I retired today and
yeah,
went to look for something different, I would expect like, my natural expectation would have been a month or 2, and I'd have been like,
yeah.
"Holy crap."
And the thing is, there's a number of people in your camp, Sean, that are total that I haven't had to look for a job since 2007 or
Yeah,
2018, and, like, and then they're put in a situation where,
true.
there was a reduction of force, some acquisition or something that they lost their role, and then they're thrusted into, "Oh, crap.
Yeah,
I don't even know what to do."
yeah,
N And adding on to that, the complexity of the current climate. If you were
yeah.
thrusted into the market back in 2022, like, we would have been
No, but I
fine.
think that expectation is like, I think what you've just said to me was probably one of the biggest parts of today's discussion is like, hey, so and if it's going to take 9 to 10 months and you get thrust into it, getting your, for lack of a better term, getting your shit together for two to
Yeah,
3 weeks to figure out what you want to be and how you want to search, like in the grand scheme of 9 plus months, like
yeah,
getting it together, like any project, like, is really important. You don't have to be applying to jobs tomorrow. In fact, it's probably not a thing anyway. So I think
Yeah.
that was really good information.
The
Yeah.
other thing on that note is to always be prepared. You know, we have the notion usually to, you get heads down and like, I'm in my role, I'm content, and I'm just plugging away. And some of those things we talked about earlier, like just staying up to date on what's going on in the market, staying in tune with your network, reconnecting with people, that
Yeah.
part, some people just put on the shelf. Like, I'm good. And they plug away and they're good for a while. And then they get hit with a surprise. And it's, hey, sorry, business is business. Your role is getting eliminated in August. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh shit, what do I do? And then it's all those people that you've had no conversation, you've ignored for years, you've just kind of put on the back burner.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I
Yeah.
really need help.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
need advice.
Uh,
I don't know what to do. And you're sitting here because you've had your head down for
Yeah.
so long, like you you end up having a harder time than the person that was keeping up with their network, keeping up with what's going on in the market, like just being ahead of it.
Yeah.
That is also crucial.
Yeah. So with your view, the question we always ask at the end is if you could automagically, it's a highly technical term for you, Josh,
Auto magically.
automagically solve anything in
Right.
HR from your
There's that in.
perspective, what is something you would solve?
Um, gosh, I am gonna go on the I'm gonna be in my like recruiter seat, candidate advocate seat for a moment and go back to the candidate experience.
Mm.
And that has been just beaten to shreds in the past couple of years. And it is again a byproduct of the power dynamic shifting to companies
Yeah.
feeling like, they've got so many options. They can have these 8th stage interview processes and ghost and string people along because, oh, we'll just go to our back burner, we'll open it back, all the things. Trust me, I could tell some HR horror stories that I've heard about some of the things that people have been put through. But to just preach that things will change eventually, and people are going to remember how they were treated during this time
Yeah.
period, and there are some people that are getting quite jaded and because of what they've had to experience. So just remembering that the candidate experience is important and just follow-ups and communication and get your damn interview processes ironed out because these process going back to the 9+ months it's taking a lot of that is just because companies can't
Yeah.
figure out what they want to do.
Yeah.
And, "Oh, well, we need to interview with one more person. Ah, we're not
In
su"
there. Yeah.
just just making it up as they go, and
Yeah.
trust me, I have to deal with that and try to influence, like, how do we button this up and streamline this, but
Yeah.
inevitably, a lot of companies just are just winging it, and unfortunately, people are having to, you know, go through it, and,
Yeah, I
it's
think they forget sometimes there's a human at the other end, like, they
yeah.
number and it's someone, it's someone's life there. And, I know that there's numbers and it's complicated, but no, I think that's a great one, Josh. I think, especially now when it's kind of the opposite, like still keep that in mind because,
For sure.
the old it's all on the wheel, well, it'll come around at some other point. Well,
It
I
will.
appreciate you sharing like the insights from your perspective because I think we talk a lot about people in role, but people move roles and what's important, and you get a unique perspective of what skills are literally valued by
Yeah.
companies and what people are looking for. Whereas, Paul and I prognosticate for whatever that's worth. You actually see it out in the market. Um, so for those listening, I'll do it again, Paul, because it was so fun last time. I heard it on another podcast. Look at him. He said, I haven't done this before. I did it for the first time ever, Josh. Hit the like button and follow. Like I feel like such a podcaster now. So yeah, We don't make any money on ours, Josh, but but I just thought it
Wait,
was cool
Sean, you
to,
said you were going to send me a check.
yeah, it's in the mail. That's old school. I'm going old school with you.
Okay, I hope it doesn't bounce.
Yeah. I like the fact that you think you were gonna get it in the mail, that it was gonna show up.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, Josh is easy to find online, as you can tell. I, spent some time with Josh, if you couldn't tell, to make sure, having come from recruitment, that I wasn't putting a shitty recruiter online. So I did talk to him a little bit before. Reach out if you have questions. He is a wealth of information
Yeah.
for everybody, and really appreciate you coming on, Josh.
Absolutely. Sean, Paul, thank you both for having me. Look forward to crossing paths again. Uh, maybe another game show, Paul, that will,
Absolutely.
but no, seriously, thank y'all. It's been awesome chatting. Happy to do it whenever. And, best of luck continuing to build out the Total Rewarding Chats.
All right, thanks,
Appreciate it.
man.
Thanks,
All
Josh.
right. Take care.